we do have one final panel, and this panel is very interesting because we're going to talk about the next top 100 projects, what to look for, and what kind of traits should you and I be seeking in new investment opportunities. And this is a very, very stellar panel that we're looking forward to. So the moderator is going to be none other than Mr. Michael Arrington, partner at the XRP Arrington Capital and founder of TechCrunch. And the panelists are the following: Mr. Brett Gibson, partner at Initialize Capital; Mr. Jack Lee, founding manager partner at HCM Capital; Mr. Manmeet Singh, CFO and CIO at Emergo; and finally, Mrs. Edith Jung, managing partner Proof of Capital. So guys, please welcome our panelists to the stage.
I want that cruel love, body on my, losing all my innocence, yeah, body on my, finding all my innocence, yeah, body on my, losing all my innocence, yeah, body on my, finding all my innocence, yeah, body on my, losing all my.
Okay, so everybody's left the event. I think we're the last session. So it's like us and 10 of our best friends. So we're supposed to talk about something, and I'm Mike Arrington, and I was not going to be the moderator of this panel. Somebody else was, and that person, something happened, so that person's not here. So I'm not totally prepared, but I know all you guys pretty well, but we don't have to stick to whatever topic is up there. We can certainly start with that. I'm trying not to come across as like being totally unprepared for this, but I'm somewhat. But I think we're good. Right? We have a lot of stuff we can talk about here. We have a good group of investors. We're all investors, and we can talk about the projects that we like, the projects we hate. We can talk shit about people if we want. You're not allowed to swear in Singapore, are you, Jack? Can you swear in Singapore? We're not going to talk about your shirt. Yeah, we're not going to share. But let's jump right in. Why don't we jump right in with talking about the future of the top. The top projects. Does anything, Brett, let's start with you. Does anything even matter anymore besides Bitcoin? And XRP, I'm XRP Capital, so XRP, yeah.
I think it's TBD. And I think in terms of like figuring out what's the future of like new layer one top 100 projects, we have a lot to learn just in the next few quarters. Like there's this large queue of major, well-funded things launching. They're trying a lot of things. They're mostly experiments. And so, I don't know, it's TBD. But
yeah, so you're super unenthusiastic. Is there anything besides Bitcoin you like right now?
There's nothing beside Bitcoin that other than Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think there's a hard case to be made that any of these are like serving an actual use case, right? There's the store of value and then tokenization, asset issuance, and but that's not to say that I'm not excited about what's going to come next. I think that there will be more than two major blockchains. I think that functionality will be additive, and I think that things like proof of stake are fairly promising. Things like the scaling approaches are fairly promising. Which one? I don't know. I think we're in this like branch out period where we're going in all these directions, and most of them are going to die, and a few of them are going to be amazing.
Yeah, but which ones? Yeah, that's what people want to know. You got to call. Okay, yeah. Edith, what do you got?
I just got the chance to catch up with FTX, one of our recent investments, and I just really love. So they want to beat BitMax, so that's the sort of the vision, and launched about 5 months ago, and about a month they actually exceed $1 billion in trading volume per day. And so Darren, who's the CMO, I don't know if he's still, and they were actually telling us about the fact that they're doing like a PUBG style, almost like a contest to compete.
You're just fully pimping one of your investments right now.
Oh, absolutely,
just to be clear. Okay. Do they even have a token?
They do have a token called FTT.
Okay, so at least they have a token. All right, so they're awesome. And you said they're competing with BitMEX?
Yes.
And they're going to beat BitMEX?
I hope so.
Okay. So they're a top 100 coin, possibly.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to talk more about them, or?
No,
go ahead if you want.
Equal opportunity.
Okay. Manmeet, your fund is called Emergo, but you're basically part of the business unit that started Cardano, right?
Yeah. We're the commercial and venture arm.
Yeah. Is Cardano a top 100 coin in a year?
Oh,
Is it a
It
top
already
10
is.
coin in a year?
Yeah, it is right now.
We own some Cardano. It's like
Well, it
number
is right
14,
now.
something like that?
It's already right now.
No, it's top 14?
I don't know what it is today, but
You don't know?
I don't track it on a daily basis.
How
Doesn't
much
matter.
Cardano do you own?
Fair chunk.
Like personally?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on, other than Cardano, XRP, and Bitcoin, and the BitMEX competitor, which we're all agreed on are awesome, is there anything else that you particularly love in this space?
Well, I think all right, couple of things. Neither I personally nor Emergo or us in the Cardano ecosystem, between IHK, Emergo, the foundation, we've not been speculative investors. We've always been about the core protocol and sort of the business that can build on top of it. And when we make our investments, we're making predominantly equity investments. So I do not fundamentally believe in the speculative aspect of a top 100 coin, this, that. I know there's money to be made there, and some people have made filthy amounts of money, and God bless them, it's all great. But that's not the
Like
stuff
the
that
Cardano guys, for example.
In what way?
The filthy amounts of money way. I mean, those guys have done very well, right?
Can't
It's
be
okay
more
to start
than
a new
XRP
project.
though.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, raised a bunch of money to build out a protocol that's going to, in turn, be deployed across various usage cases. And that's where that next 100 or whatever numbers we want to talk about is going to come out. It's not, which is the next one that's going to be launched or the one that's to be launched, and it's going to be listed and flipped and so on and so forth. Everybody who comes in early and so on makes their 5, 6, 10, 15x and all that nonsense.
That doesn't
and
happen
gets up.
anymore. That's 2017.
I hope it doesn't happen anymore.
You hope it doesn't happen. I hope it comes
seriously-
back.
No, I seriously hope it does. That shit screwed up our entire industry.
That is not what screwed up. Okay, that's a good
That's-
topic.
that's
Let's put this one
that's
over
part
here
of
for a
it.
minute.
Yeah,
We're going to
sure.
come back to that. So okay. I love this shirt. Jack, so your fund is, originally Foxconn was a main investor, and you also have other investors as well. Do you have any ideas on, what it takes, our topic, the top 100 tokens? Are there any tokens you particularly like, or anything you want to shill before we really start talking about stuff?
I think Bitcoin everyone like, for sure.
Yep.
But we are not talking about Bitcoin. Also, I'm not talking about those stable coin. I think in the future there will emerging some coin. I think the value will be definitely will be higher. Is that those same with the good use case. Now it's not a 2017. It's not a 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago. Now we need those token, those coin with the real business use case. People can.
But you're not.
Yeah, this is not a good answer, but
Well, it's not even an answer.
Yeah,
You're-
yeah.
it's a-
Don't. For example, that's a one I told you before, right? That's a one token we HCM invest early this year in June. Indeed, it's not listed in CoinMarketCap. I don't know why, but that token, it's been called Hash. It's been created by, but not the Hash. It's Hash, and created by Provenance Blockchain. I told you before, right? The company figure around it. The token currently, the market value is about almost $5 billion US. Indeed, it's the number 4 or number 5. That's what people say. I don't know whether it's correct. But it's not listed in CoinMarketCap. But it's been used. Last quarter, there's a 250 million long been using this token to do the transaction. But that's a real use case. So I think we look forward for more this kind of token to be. Of course, I think CoinMarketCap should include this token as well because top 5 is token already. But anyway, so more and more this kind of token will be. We will see more higher value.
Do you guys, and all of us, I've been in the industry a few years now, and we used to talk about layer 1, we used to talk dApps, we used to talk about gaming and gambling, and we were so excited. And now, just hearing, and I hope my bad mood isn't affecting the whole panel, but do you feel like it's a bit bleak, right? Do any of you guys trade regularly? You're an equity investor. Edith, do you guys actually trade? Because and Jack, you don't trade regularly. You don't have traders, do you?
A little bit.
You do a little bit. And
Yeah.
Brett, you guys are mainly just a venture firm.
Yeah, just venture.
So we're pretty active traders, and we keep trying to see if the alt markets are coming back and if there'll be another alt season. And I always assume there will be, but it just hasn't happened.
What's the narrative for another alt season?
See, okay, so this is where I wanted to jump on you for a little bit. So you talked about being a fundamentals investor, and I remember back when I was a fundamentals investor when I was a venture capitalist, and it was awesome because you'd invest in things that had good business plans. We did a lot of that in 2018, and we managed to lose money doing that. And then as soon as I sort of just went to the dark side and realized trading is actually a trader's game, and it really has nothing to do with fundamentals at this point, we became much more successful. So I just don't know
Yeah, but
if,
then
you know,
what kind of, I mean, you want fundamentals to play out in what time frame? 6 months, a year? That's not how businesses are built. The fundamental nature of building a business from a startup to something successful and at scale, that hasn't really changed. We've got this awesome technology, but it hasn't changed the fundamentals of, you know, setting something up, setting a piece of technology up, having the right team, scaling it, going and doing proof of concepts, pilots, getting enterprise on board, if it's an enterprise player, getting consumers on board, or these two-sided marketplace. None of those fundamentals of building a business, I think, have changed. Yes, the nature of the business, the dynamics of the business, the operations, the technology behind it, all that wonderful stuff can have a transformative change thanks to the technology, but the rest of it is the same. So we're not going to get those monumental leaps, barring maybe some miraculous project, in a 12, 24-month time frame.
But do you think any of the public tokens are trading based on fundamental value, including Bitcoin? I mean, I think that those are mostly just still speculative assets. So like investing in a token system based on underlying fundamentals, I guess is risky.
Fundamentals, well, I guess then what do we mean by the fundamentals? Fundamentals, from my perspective, is what is that protocol? What is the nature of that protocol? How unique and exciting is the architecture of that protocol, the vision behind it, people behind it, and then where and how is that going to be deployed? How is that ecosystem going to be built, right? The sort of the business nature around it.
You could like narrowly define it as like exogenous value to the chain, like value it brings into the world outside of just the token itself.
It's the value that any technology brings to an economy. I mean, it's the same narrative, right?
Yeah. But I think it's an open question
We
whether
could
or
say
not
that about any
token
technology,
investing
then.
will tack to fundamentals at some point in the world. Edith is waiting.
A really quick question, just to maybe for the audience. Who actually invests in token?
Where?
Do all of you guys? You don't, right? Mostly equity. Yeah, we're 80% equities, and if there's token component, great, we'll take it, but we don't actively trade. So it seems like Jack and I, and then Mike and Brad, it's
mostly equity.
Mostly equity, got it. And so Mike, your strategy now is actually mainly trading for liquid token.
So like last year, I was, with Manmeet and I would have been like on the same page. And we lost 42% of our fund last year. Now,
In what time frame?
We closed the first week of 18, and we been in the year, so a full year.
How many businesses, return money in a year?
How many LPs do you
In
think
that
stay in hedge funds that lose 42% in a year?
Yeah, but then that's
So you
that's a
could be
different
right in
nature.
the long run and very wrong in the short run and still be out of business. But anyway, to finish my point, so we invested in the fundamentals. We lost 42%. Now, we made some amazing investments that still aren't liquid. Space Mesh, a bunch of others. And Space Mesh could be 1,000x. Orchid was one of our early deals, and they've done very well. So they don't really count, right, because it's a venture fund. However, we still lost 42%. Now, our LPs loved us because we didn't lose 90%. So they gave us a lot more money. They gave us another 30 million or so in December. This year, we have more than doubled the size of our fund. And so it's because I basically turned large parts of the business over to two guys that I hired who were traders and kind of let them do what they want. And you know how much they care about fundamentals? They don't. They care about the charts, and they care about capital flows, and they care about proprietary sources of information. And as a venture capitalist, this stuff is alien to me, but they're doing a very, very good job. And so as long as they make money, we're going to keep doing things that way. And I will still do deals like Space Mesh when I can, but I'm not going to lose money while thinking I'm smarter than everyone because I'm investing on fundamentals. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but it just seems to me a great way to lose a lot of money because the fundamentals are irrelevant.
It's an entirely different strategy. I mean, you're raising money from investors who've got a 1-year time frame. You've got a different perspective on how your investment thesis is completely different, right? We're investing in businesses much more like VCs than hedge funds. So from that perspective, our time frame, our view of the duration that it'll take for us to see success or lack thereof is a whole lot longer. I'm not saying one is better and one is worse. It's just two different investment theses. It's VC versus hedge fund, like you said, right?
But
Yeah.
I would even say so we do not all our investing is crypto, and the timelines in crypto equity investing still seem to be longer than the way value is built in the rest of our portfolio.
What percentage of your fund is in crypto?
In crypto investments?
Yeah.
It's under 10.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Under 10% of for initial.
Yeah, well, it depends on which fund. I mean, our first fund is still, mostly Coinbase, so in terms of value.
I think we need more regulation clarity than to guide this kind of crypto issuance. Then I think more and more capital, including institutional, or including like us, will invest more on the token.
Yeah, but they're going to buy Bitcoin. They're going to buy Bitcoin.
Bitcoin can be, part of the portfolio to just like you park it in cash, right? The cash still there's a risk of a devaluation or whatever FS or maybe less interest rate risk, right? But the Bitcoin, of course, it's more volatile, but still it's a good tool for storage of value, right? So still can be part of the portfolio to long the Bitcoin. I think.
So we are like 80% Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, good.
Wow.
Buy strategy.
And our fund is
Buy
Arrington
Bitcoin.
XRP Capital. I mean, we're
Because it's
fundamentally
better than
Ripple bulls, but
to put your capital into those shitcoin, right?
well,
Do you think of it as an investment or just like a cash equivalent while you're investing out of Bitcoin?
me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what I thought of it when I first bought the Bitcoin, but it's been a definite investment this year, right? We were lucky to have so much Bitcoin. That was a bit luck. What we were smart about was keeping it instead of investing it in other things. And that was largely my team that talked us into doing that. And I assume next year we're probably going to like Bitcoin a lot as well, given the way things are happening with the halving, but we'll see. But I hope that after that we start getting into more interesting things based on fundamentals, because otherwise I'll only be in this industry a few more years if it's just bullshit, right? Sorry. We were on a panel, Brett and I were on a panel a couple weeks ago.
I actually am pretty bullish about the next year in terms of I think a lot of the infrastructure is coming into place for the next year or two. Especially
what infrastructure though?
I've seen a pitch for the best crypto wallet I've ever seen, like repeatedly, like over the last 2 years. Like they get better and better, and now it's like, whoa, that seems usable by people. So
yeah, and that's an equity investment.
I haven't invested in any wallets. They've been amazing,
remember our
but not
topic.
necessarily investable.
Like, we're not actually talking about our topic because the topic is stupid, right? Now, I mean, for CoinMarketCap, they think very seriously about like the top 100 coins because that's where they go to their site. So their whole paradigm is that. But like we all know as well, any of us that trade know that there's no volume, right? You drop down even after the top 10, it's hard to find $100,000 worth of a token if you want to buy it.
Well, these days, I think I checked this morning, 66% Bitcoin
What?
in terms of the total market cap volume. Mostly
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
All right, so change the narrative a bit, right? It's not all about the utility tokens. One of the things that I'm really bullish about is the security token space. Today, it's not there yet. Today, the narrative of security tokens is merely another digital security that happens to be on a blockchain, but it doesn't really change the fundamentals a lot of what that token represents. There's another narrative that we already invested in, wherein actually you take any investment, so whatever the underlying asset is, you take everything from origination through to securitization, you have all the cash flows and all the financials of the asset residing on a blockchain from day one. So when you have this token or you're investing into this token, you actually have real-time sight and access of the entire financials of this asset. So it's the information rails are on blockchain. Now, that security token actually allows you to have a whole different perspective on any of the assets that you invest in. And those kinds of tokens, in my view, are going to change the whole narrative of what we consider
Yeah, but man,
tokens.
doesn't
Well, hold on. And then
we had
if
these same conversations
yeah,
for
because
years.
you
It's like
got to give it
security-
some
we had
time. You got to
literally-
give it some time. It's what the biggest holdup right now isn't the technology, nor is it the availability of good projects that are wishing to go the security token route for fundraising, nor is it sort of market acceptance. It's regulatory, right? And unfortunately, a lot of the regulatory stuff stems from the US. And the US is a complete mess when it comes to regulatory issues regarding digital assets. Now, other jurisdictions, Singapore is a great example of it, have taken a more proactive approach. So what we're going to start seeing, I believe, I hope, I expect, is that you're going to have a lot of these other tier one money center jurisdictions, Switzerland, Dubai, here in Singapore, for instance, that are going to open up this market, take the narrative away from the US in terms of what we consider traditional capital markets on the equity side at least, build up a security token ecosystem, which will also then allow institutional money to pour into this finally, right? Yeah. That starts happening, we have a different narrative pushed by institutional volume into the space. At least that's what I'm expecting and hoping. And I think very strongly that this will happen in the next 12 months.
There's a company, although I don't invest in it at all. I think there's a company out in New York called Templum. They do security token, and their first asset, first asset was like a resort timeshare for a beautiful home. So in that sense, great. Like they get exclusivity to offering for this real estate. But in my head, I'm thinking, I don't want that piece of real estate anyway. So it doesn't really matter they're on security token or not.
But,
right?
Yeah, it's like why will there be liquidity for all these security tokens?
So the hard part I have is it's cool. It sounds interesting, but I'm having a hard time understanding like why this is on a security token. Make it more attractive.
Because that financial infrastructure isn't fully in place yet. The minute that financial infrastructure is in place, there's a much better narrative for any issuer to go and issue a security token where you're providing investors real-time sight on the financials of the underlying asset at any point in time. You actually, if you think about it carefully, this is basically saying that 2008 financial crisis would not have happened. Because in that crisis, we're buying these securitized pools of mortgages where you don't really have an idea whether any of those assets in that entire pool is still, valid or it's already a dead asset. You don't know until you get it, and then you have about I think we did the calculation, you have about a 47-day time frame between when you actually find out that, hey, this is a delinquent asset now and it's out, right? In this case, you actually know it real time. So now you can price these assets better, you can package them, sell out these securitized models better.
Seriously, none of this is new. Nobody in this audience, nobody's going, wow, that's a good way of thinking about it. We've been talking about this shit for years, like the same shit for years, right? Like I've been in, like you're not a kid, I'm not a kid, I've been in tech for a long time. I know an industry that's like a bit sick when I see it, and this industry, other than Bitcoin, is very ill right now. And you must admit that, right? And we can sit around and talk about security tokens or regulation or whatever, but like we are desperately in need of a use of tokens, of crypto, besides what Bitcoin does, maybe DeFi, and then the security token stuff. Like there has to be something else to talk about at some point.
How about we talk about China? What do you think?
I'd love to talk about China. I also want to say, we're down to the last 15, 12 minutes. In the audience, if you do have a question, especially if you want to like really change the conversation, please raise your hand and we'll get you into the conversation. Is there anyone now that wants to ask a question, or we're going to talk about China? Okay. Hey, come here. No, well, the live stream can hear you then, because there's probably at least 8 people. Hold on.
All right, so you have like 10 grand you're going to give to your son or daughter, put into a project or a token or something like that. Only thing is they can't touch it for 5 years. What are they putting it into?
Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, that's the right answer. And Ripple, XRP. But
maybe a little ETH.
Maybe a little ETH.
Okay, how about if not Bitcoin?
If if they have 10 grand to invest and not Bitcoin or ETH to gift, I probably don't tell them to invest in random crypto assets.
All right, let's talk about China. Why the fuck not? All right. So, were you telling me outside that you thought the China news, no, somebody was telling me that they thought the China news was interesting because as it goes mainstream and crypto is accepted in China as a real thing, that the scammers, suddenly China might actually go after some of the bad players, the bad actors in China because instead of just been skating along. Were you telling me that or was somebody else?
It wasn't me, but
Okay.
I agree with that. I like whatever China is doing had nothing about decentralization. You realize that? Because it's great for the optics. It's good for some of the shitcoin from China. Great, but the reality is that
When you say shitcoin, do you mean everything besides Bitcoin and that one company you invested in? Like, is that it?
No.
What do you mean by shitcoin? I actually wonder what you mean.
I don't want to name them, but there are a few that are originated from China, did really, really well.
Okay, you don't mean everything besides
No.
Bitcoin? Because I think a lot of people say shitcoin, they mean literally everything besides Bitcoin.
I like XRP, XML,
So do I, yeah.
Zcash. Like there are a few I actually like.
Everything else is a
No, I didn't say that. But
Cardano.
there are a few I like.
Cardano's definitely not a shitcoin.
Hell no. Like, don't even go there, bro.
What?
Don't even go there.
I won't. I love it.
But it's interesting.
1% we made a lot of money on Cardano last year. We had 2% of our fund in Cardano.
You're very welcome.
So not on fundamentals, but based on trading, and we made some money. So, and I don't mean it. I just
However you want it. However you want
no.
it.
See, you're laughing. Okay. More questions?
Wait, what were you saying about China?
Oh, I was just saying basically there's nothing decentralized about what everything China does.
Okay.
One, but they will actually push a lot of enterprise-related activities for sure.
Just say who you are too.
Yeah, I think that's a two things. Maybe I can comment a little bit. Number one, the DCEP issued by PBOC, that's only for consumer. For sure, 100%. This is I already got the firm answer. Yeah, I should update it. When yesterday CNBC interviewed me, but I know it too late. Anyway, only for consumer, no enterprise at the initial stage. And I think for the other coin, for other tokenized asset, like Xi Jinping say, it's good for not only the blockchain, also he mentioned about digital finance and digital asset from his 5-minute speech. So digital asset is possibly is coming, but will be in a regular way.
So the way that I think about it, probably like I think that we're saying the same thing but different lingo, is literally we're seeing so many financial related product, regardless it's custody or lending or payment network using crypto even within China, that you can actually buy Louis Vuitton with XRP. Like that's happening, and all that is being built right now, and it's really, really exciting. So around that, which is along PBOC, of course, is going to push out, what do you call it, DCEP.
DCEP.
And that's definitely coming. And they pick 7 entity, 4 banks, and plus UnionPay, Alipay, ECHIPay, to sort of push it out to on the commercial side and the consumer side. It's really, really exciting to see.
Yes.
So in order to support that, there's plenty of opportunities in terms of investment for us, I think.
Yeah, but
from the
no
financials.
fundamentals, right?
That's kind of fundamental.
Hey guys, my name's Eli. Stepping back, Mike was talking about, we're still looking for use cases and tokens that actually work. Mike, you invested in Arweave, right? That's a novel, new way that a token's being used. What projects do you guys see that are using new novel token mechanisms that you think might actually work?
I feel like you should have been moderating this panel. That's a good question. Arweave's awesome. What else? What? Oh, what's that? Oh, questions. Well, why don't we answer his question? It's a good one, and then we can jump into. So there's a screen up here that has a bunch of questions on it. Are these coming in through the internet?
Yeah, there's a link somewhere.
All right. So yeah, Arweave's a good one, and I should have brought them up, and I'm very excited about Arweave, and it's awesome. And if you don't know what Arweave is, you should check it out.
I don't know. I think like before I was saying with things like the proof of stake, like it's hard to reason about exactly which of these approaches is going to work. There's a lot of different types of token mechanics that are converging on the same goal with vastly different tactics. And so, I mean, it seems like one of them, something that uses tokens to incentivize file storage is going to work. That's something we would need for most any really robust decentralized applications that are truly.
And that's Arweave. You know
yeah,
how, yeah.
Oh, clearly. Well, Arweave's a little different because it's I don't understand it enough, but it doesn't to fully go into this. But some things like Sire and Filecoin are for like P2P enablement, whereas Arweave actually stores the data on chain?
Permanently. Yeah, theoretically permanently. One of the entities that I've been continually pitched from different companies is distributed AWS, like basically using unused cycles from data centers. And I can think of at least right now 3 different companies, I think Akash, Fluence, and another one that just pitched me. And I love the idea, and that's the kind of thing I want to invest in from a fundamental standpoint as a venture capitalist, but nobody's made it work yet. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. Have you invested in anything like that? Distributed, where you basically provide an AWS-like service with all these data centers that have all this unused capacity around the world. So seems like a pretty good use case for me.
I mean, my sense of some of the initial approaches are kind of, and I think it was common in a lot of these use cases, to take too literal a translation from AWS to the decentralized version of AWS, and that it's going to need to, because it's a different type of resource, optimizing for using it correctly and incentivizing it correctly, it's probably going to have a slightly different type of use case. And these sort of literal, just take centralized version, add token, make decentralized version approaches might be dead ends.
I've seen a couple of projects similar to this. That's how the way that they pitch it. But the hard time is they're having a hard time to find folks that actually, it's already pretty cheap in some sense, AWS. So if it's the centralized version, great, and you can argue, okay, maybe more availability and whatnot, but it's not. I think most of them, whoever that work on it, having a hard time to actually get people on board to actually use it. That's a tough sell.
Yeah, I think the other reason is because in the last 5 years, 4 years, most of these token projects created by what we call the engineering. Very innovative technology. Then how can this side of the world to link with the what I would say 99% of the business world resource being controlled by the other side of the people, right? How can this both sides, the engineering, good technology, good innovation, to be connect and then make it work? Indeed, this is also our proposition. We want to make more this kind of case happen.
Did you guys know there's a whole second? I didn't even know there were more people there. It's more like it's like double the people I thought.
Look, I haven't come across any unique or amazingly innovative new tokenomic model out there. But even if there is, before you even consider the tokenomic model, wouldn't you always want to go back and consider what problem this business is trying to solve, what value and all it's actually bringing, and then get to that point? The challenge has been that, our minds have all been so messed up, and also for the industry. I'll tell you, here's the thing, right? Through the ICO boom and everything, all these teams were raising tons of cash before they even built something out, right? That's completely upended the traditional way that we would finance them. Not to say the traditional way we would finance the VC model was the best either. There are ways to improve it, I'm sure. But once you get into that mindset, then everything is, okay, you got a whole bunch of cash, give me the tokens, how quickly can I move them on? And then once you start thinking on those, at that level, then you get to, a notion of, okay, let's trade these tokens, and we have hedge funds around it, and then you focus on token value and intrinsic value.
No, I still
of the
think
token.
you're not jaded enough. I don't think you've there's a company we invested in last year that I won't say who they are, but they basically were exchange for mileage points. If you got like airline miles and hotel points on, and that it's a perfect use case for a token to be the central currency. And I think we 8x the investment. I mean, we made decent money on this. I honestly don't think they ever even tried to build a product, right? They took the money, they went live, the token is still trading way up, and as far as I know, they've never
because
even
in a
tried.
lot of those cases, the only objective was issue the damn token, get it listed,
But
flip
I
it, and move
invested
on.
based on fundamentals. Like, I did all the bullshit that you're talking about, and I did it, and I
But
still
you
made
made-
money, but I made money because of
Why didn't
something
you stay with it for fundamentals?
Why would, I don't think they're
Because
building
you saw
a
the
product.
8x and you were like, this is great, awesome, and let's get out. Or was there a different
Yeah.
idea?
No, I just didn't, I don't.
Voila, that's my point. That
What's your
mindset.
point?
That's my
That
point.
I'm right?
No, I'm saying
I'm wrong.
you're right to have taken that
Exit is
investment
right.
decision. But the point is, once one gets mesmerized by that 8x, 10x narrative, then that's what we end up seeking. Then it doesn't matter what anything behind that is. Then it's all about that 8, 10x flip.
But part of the problem and the thing that's hard to reason about it as an investor is that when you're building a distributed system, it's, we've given these projects license to think of a bunch of things up front because it's trying to become decentralized, and so they can't really control it after they release it. And so it's hard then to reason about the value prop too, because they're emergent economic systems. I mean, Ethereum wasn't built for tokenization or DeFi, but those appear to be what is valuable about it so far.
Okay, well, I think we've all basically agreed that I'm right and Manmeet is wrong. I think that's the general summary I have from this. No, actually, this was good. I'm glad we had a little bit of disagreement, and I'm glad that we had a somewhat interesting conversation in the space. But I personally, I need to see some change in this industry, or else I don't know how many more years I have. Like, I'm doing this because it's fun, but I'm not sure it's fun unless something happens. We need for those of us who are old enough to remember spreadsheets, like, we need our Lotus 1, 2, 3 moment. We need that killer app to, like, make all these something has to happen. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now, are we out of time, or do we have 5 more minutes? I have no idea.
We have 5 more minutes.
So,
Well, there are a bunch of questions here. Oh, to Arrington, shill me XRP. Is there one reason to see XRP tackling banking industry?
Brett and I were on a panel at, what was it, Blocks?
Blockstack.
Yeah,
You're an
a
investor.
couple weeks ago. And jokingly, I kept saying how much I love XRP, and I do love XRP, but like, people actually took me seriously, and I was joking, right? I was just joking about XRP being awesome. I mean, it is awesome, but I didn't mean to shill it. But this question up here is actually literally asking me to shill it, and it's gone now. Oh, no, there it is. Is there a reason do you see XRP tackling the banking industry? I mean, I was just at Ripple Swell here. That's why I'm in Singapore last week. And the audience of Swell was largely bankers, and these bankers are scared. They don't know what crypto is, and they know that it's potentially disruptive, and so they're actually scared. And one thing Ripple does is it gives them a lifeline. It says, look, you can use us, and you can stop using the traditional ways of moving money cross-border, and you can use us, and it's cheap, and it's fast, and it's honest. And the bankers are lapping that up. And it's another question about fundamentals. There is some fundamentally good stuff happening with Ripple. They had made a bunch of announcements last week, and the coin didn't move at all. And it's because fundamentals don't matter right now, in my opinion. Speculation is all that matters. And it seems to me that good news only affects Bitcoin right now. You remember in 2017, any news affected any coin. But I think Ripple is going to be a company that's going to be around for a very, very long time. I think they're going to go public. I think they're going to be great. But I don't necessarily know if buying XRP right now makes any sense financially at all. And the fact that I hold 80% Bitcoin in my fund, including illiquid investments, tells you what I actually think about that, right? So. Can you make an argument that a coin has intrinsic value, if any? Let's end with that question. I like that question.
After that, can we play a quick game?
Pardon?
Okay, can we end the conversation with a quick game?
We can do whatever you want.
Okay,
Yeah.
We should
awesome.
just skip to the game.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, you don't have to say anything, and I'm just gonna say the name of the token. You just thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay?
Yeah, I'm not playing this game.
Or you can do this. No.
As long as the audience does it too, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that. Bitcoin. Okay. XRP. XL.
Brett, you bastard, put your thumb up.
Comment on the price.
Did you?
XLM.
Ooh. No,
Really?
that's the anti. Well, they're the bad guys, right? Yeah.
Speaking of fundamentals, when you burn half.
BCH.
I don't understand that stuff.
Tron.
I'm not answering that question. There's politics here, right?
Hey, I don't think they're here.
We're such a small
capabilities.
industry all in. I really hope that they all succeed at some point so that that starts breaking down the door for us to really scale the industry. Doesn't matter who wins and whatever win means right now. We're a small, insignificant industry. Some of us actually believe there's a lot of value, intrinsic, fundamental value in the technology and what it can do. Some have different opinions, and that's totally fine. But they need to...
Okay. Awesome. I'm flying home tomorrow. I'm out of here. Going back to America. Keep doing this. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.